Good now, Revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Thursday, June 5th, and I got to give you a very mournful today because our friend Will is back to basics, should we say?
Yeah, I'm a human again today, which is most unfortunate. I am heading up to Maine for one of my cousin's weddings, and I tried. There was not enough room in either of the two bags I had for my dolphin costume, and I, shockingly, was not willing to wear it on the train up to Maine. So,
really,
does it surprise you that Will tried?
Did.
Yeah, right. It doesn't surprise me at all.
I did try. I knew that because I just knew that people would be upset. And the first comment on my update video this morning was no dolphin costume, dolphin emoji equals bearish, bear emoji. I was like, if the markets tank, I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
Yeah.
I love it.
Doesn't hit as well when I'm not a blue banana.
No, man, it's okay. My love for you is no less strong.
Mine is.
Girl, you're amazing. Just
mine is. Undoubtedly it is, yeah. My mom was like, the dolphin costume is so crazy, Will, but I don't think Alex likes it very much.
You know, it's funny because Kim said the same thing last night. She said, I think that's gonna grate on Alex. I was like, really? You think so? I was like, I think that's the character. I think he's lovably a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
I also think that Alex knows it's temporary. So he's like, I'm willing to deal with a certain level of dolphin shit.
I know that it's temporary.
Instead of bullshit, dolphin shit.
Oh, I was gonna not give you any credit for that one, but yes.
Oh no, I was gonna make sure everyone.
Oh no, we're going back. We're going back. No, it's all right. You know, it's so unbelievably stupid. Which, to Will's credit, he pointed out in the very first video that he did with it, where he waddled onto stage with the costume on, and he was just like, all right, so this is what we're going to do. It's so unbelievably stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do
Only
this.
I can come up with something so stupid.
Well, honestly, it's all made better by the fact that you just had that thing already before. Yeah. Like, this isn't a thing that you went and was like, well, I got to do something weird to do this banned account thing. It's like, no. Let me just dig into my armoire of 88 costumes, and I guess Dolphin. That's the winner.
Yep. No, it was perfect because I bought the costume on a live before, and I was like, and everyone was like, I can't wait to see this in a video, and I was like, I can't wait too. I just gotta wait for the perfect moment. And then, you know, my account getting banned is 4 years worth of work down the toilet. It's 4 years worth of work down the toilet, which is annoying, but. Honestly, I haven't really been like emotionally affected at all by it because A, we have the Rise Up Morning Show and all the great things here in the community here. And so it doesn't feel like I'm starting from zero at all in any way, shape or form. And at the same time, I'm having so much fun being the dolphin.
Yeah.
Having so much fun.
Tori said last night, Moist Mike just commented, I remember when you bought it on Amazon on the live. And Tori said last night, I had to talk him out of getting a child-size costume. Did I have that right?
No, Tori saved me from accidentally purchasing the child-sized dolphin costume. She was like, wait, no, Will, that's the child size. And I was like, oh, cool, great. It was in my shopping cart. It was in my shop. So it would have been even funnier, though, to just have, like, a dolphin costume that was, like, an entire dolphin costume with just, like, here, and then I'm just, like, naked from the waist down.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you very much, everybody in the comments, for all the love you've shown us. We know that it's intentional. We know you're living on purpose, and we appreciate it. And if you've got a crypto question, if you've got helpful news, if you've got a story you want us to cover, if you've got a question about anything related to blockchain, then this is the place for it. We're here to share helpful news and answer those questions as best we can. I know, Will, you've got to get your dog and pony show on the road a little bit early today because you're traveling with family. So maybe we can kick it to some of the stories you've got first. I've already teased that we're going to talk a little about the Circle IPO, but I know you wanted to address some of the rumors about Powell from a few days ago and talk about some of the numbers we're going to be getting this weekend. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, well, let's start with what's real, which is the jobs report We got the jobs report yesterday, and this is for the U.S. labor market. If you're not in the United States, you should still care about this because what affects the U.S. economy affects the global economy, since the United States is the largest economy in the world. Okay, so as investors, we should pay attention to what's happening there. So the U.S. jobs report came out yesterday, really, really, really bad. And this was the jobs report for the month of May. And if you've been following me on Twitter in particular, you know that I have been letting everybody know that because I am also a supply chain consultant for some of the largest supply chain organizations in the world, I've been telling people, I'm like, hey, they're firing 10 to 20% of their global staff, which for each of these companies is 7,000 to 9,000 people across the board. And I'm like, firings are coming. Unemployment's going to go on the rise. It's just going to happen. And it's a result of the tariffs, especially for me in the supply chain world, right? Where my industry is directly affected by this. And these companies are firing people as a result. Also, their stocks have all been in the toilet for like 4 years. The only stocks they've been doing well have been tech stocks, okay? So there's the context. And now we're starting to see that come to fruition. The month of May, here's the data. The jobs report came in at 37,000 jobs were added to the US market in the month of May. That was below expectations of 111,000. Also, there was a revision of the month of April where they were like, hey, 62,000 jobs were added, which was already a big miss of about another 60,000 jobs. And they revised that down from 62,000 to 60,000. If this is fake, I'm used to seeing Will on a dolphin costume. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. And yeah, so we're getting 2 months of progressively worse jobs data, labor data. We need to keep our eye on unemployment because if unemployment starts going up, which it seems like it could very likely be, since jobs being added to the market aren't happening, that is typically an indicator that leads into unemployment typically ticking up. And then if people don't have money, people have to sell assets to then cover their expenses. So that's the chain of events you want to keep your eyes on from a macro level standpoint. And
we're going to get these numbers tomorrow?
We got these numbers yesterday.
What are the numbers we're getting tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I don't know.
I thought CPI, PPI jobless claims. I always write this down and I always listen to you say it and I always get so befuddled by...
Well, today's Thursday. Thursday, you always get weekly jobless claims data on Thursday. Let me pull up what we got coming on today and tomorrow.
It looks like we're going to get May employment data at 8:30 a.m. And then...
I don't see that. So we're going to get jobless claims data for the week. We're going to get trade balance data. There are some earnings reports. Oh, and the European Central Bank cut rates already.
Oh,
so FYI.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they cut rates. They've been cutting rates. So is Canada. They've been doing it for a while. And then on Friday, we will get non-farm payrolls data. So again, some more data about like how much money people are making. And we also get consumer credit. So a little bit of insight onto the debt market.
The hell was I looking at? What kind of calendar was that? That's why I have you, Will, is because I know you'll keep me on the straight and narrow when it comes to the schedule of data being released. Okay, so tell me then about this Jerome Powell stuff. What did you want to touch on there?
Yeah, so there was a whole bunch of bullshit that we've seen percolated around a number of times now.
Surprise.
Where it's the idea that Jerome Powell's going to step down or Jerome Powell's going to be fired and Trump's going to cut interest rates and it's going to happen on Monday. And they started that talk because a couple tweets on crypto Twitter erupted with that. They became very, very, very viral. And Jerome Powell had a speech on Monday, but the speech had nothing to do with the economy and had everything to do with a whole different topic. So Jerome Powell's speech didn't have anything to do with cuts, didn't have anything to do with the current economic climate. It had something else entirely because he was giving a speech towards like a very specific audience. So like it didn't make sense even from that point. But people were also like, Jerome Powell has a meeting with Trump early on Monday, and he did. And they're like, and Trump's gonna fire him in that meeting, and then Trump's gonna he's gonna do stuff, and he's gonna cut the rates. And I'm just like, oh god, this is so stupid. So for everyone who doesn't know, if you don't know, I'm not calling you stupid. If you don't know why that doesn't make sense, let me educate you. So Jerome Powell is the head of the Fed. The Fed has oversight by Congress, right? So Congress gets to have oversight and just kind of keeps their eyes on what the Fed is doing, but they don't control the Fed. The Fed is technically not a part of the government, but it's kind of in this like middle zone. It's like a government agency, if you will, right? Congress has oversight, but the Fed makes their own decisions, okay? And Jerome Powell's the head of that. The president cannot fire Jerome Powell. The head of the Fed can only be fired by Congress if the Fed does something crazy, like wildly irresponsible in the economy. And that doesn't happen. Now, Jerome Powell is in office until I think when is it? I think it's the middle point of next year.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the middle point of next year. And Jerome Powell has come out, I think, every single time he's ever asked the question, which has to be 4 or 5 times now. I do not plan on resigning early. Yeah. I will complete my term. No one has power to fire me. And there you go. Jerome Powell's not going out. If you see any news about Jerome Powell's going to resign or be fired, it's fake news. It's a headline designed to get you to click on it and like it and share it and do all that stuff. It's engagement farming by clicking hot button economic and political issues at the same time. That's all it is. So I just want you to be aware of that. And also Jerome Powell has stated a number of times now around rate cuts. We are not going to cut rates anytime soon because we don't know what the US trade policy is around tariffs. Yeah. And we don't want to cut rates while tariffs are also potentially causing inflation to go up. And also at the same time, the labor market is still strong, so we don't feel a need to do that. So while the trade policy of the United States is still being negotiated, which it is, and also the labor market remains strong, the Fed's just gonna sit back and hang out and chill and watch the data. So there you go. Hope that helps everybody as you navigate these headlines that are designed to grab your attention. So direct your attention elsewhere.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. Robert says, Will has given us the news and that the third quarter, folks, was and still is the one he's optimistic about. Like you say, we got to get some traction on these tariffs. We got to get some clarity. And until that time, you're both grounded. I want to know if you saw the news about Circle's IPO.
I did not see the news.
Okay, so let me read you in on this. A lot of the speculation, Circle went public. They sold their shares. It was bigger than expected. Everybody was like, maybe it'll be a $3 billion company. I'd be a buyer. Maybe it'll be a $5 billion company. I wouldn't be a buyer there. You know what I mean? People thought like $5 billion was like the ceiling for this thing, fully diluted value. And last night, they adjusted their prices above the previous target range by like $4. It was going to be $27 a share. They were like, no, this is not enough. There's too much demand. $31 a share. And so they sold 24 million shares for a valuation of $6.8 to $8 billion on a fully diluted basis. 25 times oversubscribed. It's wildly successful. Chamath was saying last night on X, if someone can buy it for even $12 to $13 billion, Ripple, etc., that's a steal in his opinion, considering what it could be worth in 20 years, because basically Circle's built the entire market structure for stablecoins well before it formally exists in the US. Big time success. I would be interested in acquiring some Circle stock, but I'd be curious to know what you guys think, because that's a pretty high valuation. But I think that kind of news will, push it higher kind of thing.
In my opinion, Circle is a company that is very likely to enter the S&P 500 one day because of, think about it. You have Tether, of course, but Circle is the issuer of the US central bank digital currency.
Basically.
It is USDC. It is, and they work very closely with the government, and they are the issuer that's working with the largest financial empire in the world, the United States, that is very much so needs to have stable coins be percolated across the world so that people buy bonds, so that the government can continue to spend money, right? The issuer of that is in a phenomenal position to do well, and in order to get into the S&P 500, you need a $20 billion market cap as of today, right now. So anything below that, to me, long term, I look at Circle as very much so a long term play. And once it gets into the S&P 500, like Coinbase has, then you have those index funds, those mutual funds, those retirement funds that just automatically buy into S&P 500 index funds. And then your stock just starts going ding, 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 so long as you stay in the S&P 500. And that to me, anything below buying Circle below $20 billion is like, yeah, I could stack some Circle stock in my personal opinion.
What was the valuation you said?
Fully diluted valuation is about 7 to 8 billion.
So I think that one thing we have to remember when you're looking at this is that this is a crypto company, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that crypto rules also apply to how this company works, because the primary target right now, at least for this particular stock, is probably the crypto industry or power users or industries familiar with crypto. Valuations rarely fall into the standard range that would be expected given a company's EBITDA, right? Being like 5 times, or roughly 5 times. So if a company like Circle is $1.68 billion last year in revenue, multiply that by 5, I think that's more than 7. But I'm not very good at math. So to me, it feels, like it's relatively in line with the way that like you might speculate on this thing. And like Will said, given what Coinbase just did, getting into the S&P, there's more cause for speculation. So all of this just inflates valuation and probably props it up, given that, of course, now being public and more people investing will make more people get USDC, which will inflate their revenue and more income and yada, yada, whatever. And it's all these future speculative bets. I think it makes sense.
Neil said it's gross. Circle going public only increases red tape for them and for crypto. So I don't know. I think it's sort of a fence issue, because on the one hand, Circle coming into the S&P 500, it definitely legitimizes our industry in a particular way. On the other hand, who the hell said we needed to legitimize our industry in the first place?
Well, I mean, knowing Neil, I know, what Neil, I know what you are, what you hold most dear with regards to the space. So I think that assessment from you makes perfect sense. I don't really disagree. I don't think that it's exclusively good or exclusively bad. It is inevitable, though. This is the way that it was always going to go, not just for Circle, but for more. I mean, it would be weird. It would be weird if Ripple never IPO'd. There are other companies, it would be weird if some of these other labs don't eventually go public. If you get to the point where, I don't know,
it's not just IPOs, Alex. I had 2 other stories that I saw that fall in this camp, that JPMorgan is accepting crypto ETFs as collateral and considering it as part of its clients' net worths. And also that World Liberty Financial just launched a huge airdrop to USD1 holders. World Liberty Financial stablecoin is like the 7th or 8th largest stablecoin by market cap, and carried out like a $4 million airdrop of its stablecoin on Wednesday. They dropped $47 to everybody who bought their token, because Trump's, the 45th and 47th president. So, I mean, stuff like this is going to keep happening.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. It doesn't mean that I'm excited about it, but you have to be aware that it's inevitable, and then you have to plan for it. I'm sorry, it's just the world we live in.
Yeah, and I did neglect to mention the ticker. Circle's ticker is, you ready for this one? CRCL.
Oh, yeah.
So clever.
Perfect. I do want to provide a little bit of, because we talk a lot about crypto investing, and when there's an ICO or an airdrop, we know to expect usually price to do this, find some kind of a bottom, and then correct. Stocks do something similar, all right? So if you're not used to an IPO, buying at the initial IPO release tends to not be great for the same reason. When an IPO is released, the members of the company typically cannot legally sell their stocks that they just are sitting on because they've worked at the company for 90 to 180 days. The lockup period is somewhere like that, right? Typically it's 180 days, and then they can start selling. So if you look at Coinbase's chart, you'll see that reflected perfectly as well. So let me show you that.
Yeah. Let's take a looky, Lou. And what is it so I can pop it on the screen for the big screeners?
If you just go on Google and type in Coinbase stock, you'll get this exact chart here, and you'll be able to see.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. So the IPO happened April 16th, and 180 days after April 16th is right in the middle of October. And you can see you had this spike upwards here and then cratered because everybody inside the company who had Coinbase stock, who have more stock than anybody, started dumping on the market. And then you had a great time to buy. The sell pressure alleviated. And, now we're setting in higher lows, higher highs, and Coinbase's chart looks good. And now it's in the S&P 500 and, gasoline added onto the fire most likely. But again, you have 180 days to wait, then the slide, and then you have a serious consolidation phase before the market starts to find strength. Okay. Beautiful. So be aware that that's how IPOs tend to play out. Not always, but tends to. That 180-day period is a really long time in the eyes of crypto investors, but in the eyes of the stock world, it's a very short period of time. That is half a year if you guys are not good at knowing how many days are in a year. 6 months or so, you might be given a good buying opportunity at a steep discount if you do believe that Circle is destined to be in the S&P 500 one day.
And if you're not very good at counting how many days there are in a year, you probably need more help than we're qualified to give. But if you've got a crypto question, then you're in the right place. I do want to remind you that we're live Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time to answer your crypto questions, but that you can find the show 24/7 if you check out all the links at the riseupmorningshow.com. We are now on podcasting platforms like Apple and Spotify. All these episodes live forever on YouTube, so that if you're listening in podcast or audio land in the future, hello, we hope your candles are green, but you can catch the visuals like the chart we just showed of Coinbase's stock on your YouTube playlist. I just learned recently that more people watch YouTube on their televisions than cable TV. Isn't that wild? And it could be the Rise Up Morning Show. It's the number one TV app. And we want to be the number one. We want to be the number one show on your number one TV app. So please find us on YouTube. Like us, really, really like us. If you're there already, you're ahead of the curve. And while we're talking about the show, let me remind you that the Rise Up Morning Show is powered by our friends at Polygon. And hey, guess what I just heard from Nil? That Mark, our friend, CEO Mark Boyron of Polygon, is now on TikTok. So we got to look out for him. I don't know what his handle is, but officially, Mark, welcome. Now that you're natively here, we got to get you back on the show. He's our guy.
Yeah, I haven't had an opportunity to chat with him yet. He was away.
Man, he was cool. He was down to earth and obviously super smart. I think you guys would have a great conversation. I have no doubt about it. So we'll have to get him back sometime.
I love that comment by Joe. Canceled my Netflix over a year ago. And I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. I did something. Bought Bitcoin. Found savings, bought Bitcoin.
All right, Joe.
Oh, I had a great story. A number of months ago, I told you guys that my barber in Boston, he just one time was just like, yeah, dude, I made a great investment. And I was like, oh, dude, what'd you invest in? He's like, oh, did you know much about cryptocurrency? And I was just like, do I? We started talking, and he was an early investor in SNEC, the meme coin on Cardano, and he was up. He was up a lot. And I was like, dude, you gotta sell that. He's like, nah, dude, man, you gotta hold on for more. And then it started tanking. And my last haircut, I saw him, I was like, hey, dude, how's your SNEC doing? He goes, oh, dude, it's still up. I'm just waiting for the recovery. It's about to get added on Binance. And I was like, oh, are you gonna sell any? He's like, nah, I'm gonna wait for that. And now I got my haircut yesterday. And I go, hey, dude, how's your SNEC? He goes, oh, dude, I'm down bad. I'm down so bad. I'm down so bad, man. I'm like, oh, dude. He's like, hey, I was like, how you feeling about that? He goes, hey, dude, I'm going to hold on to it. If it comes back, great. If not, whatever. I learned some lessons. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, what do you think about buying now? He's like, dude, I really think I just got to get heavy into Bitcoin. And I was just like, you've done it. You've done it.
Congratulations.
Like, yeah, man, I'm just going to get into Bitcoin. He's like, maybe I'm going to buy just regular Cardano and some Solana and stuff, and maybe some Ethereum. And then just it's a little less volatile. But like, I really just want to get heavy into Bitcoin now because, like, man, these markets are crazy. I was like, you have blossomed out of your cocoon as a beautiful butterfly.
He's
And
transcended.
I was so proud of him. I was so proud.
Seriously.
Yeah. And I think that might be like a common feeling amongst investors who've dived in this past time, where I think there's a large amount of people who got burned and they either are just leaving completely or they're like, no, I need to get to the basics.
Yeah, I
And
think you're
that
right.
brings me joy, that thought.
I think you're right. I am really, really glad that you got to check in with him again, and I'm terribly sad about his snake, but I am really...
Snack.
It's snack.
You don't say it like snake?
Say it with me,
No,
Evan.
it's snack.
Snack.
It's way
like
more
a little
meaty.
snack.
Little snack.
It's a
Yeah,
snake.
which is like snake with an accent. Like a snake.
But it's literally spelled S-N-E-K. It's snack.
Yeah. But if I really wanted people to pronounce it like snack, I mean, come on, I'd put like a C in there. Or
That's the meme.
No,
It's a meme.
That's the meme.
You're the meme, bro.
There's
No.
nothing more snack than SNEK.
Fact check yourself, brother.
All right. We're derailing the entire show to put this to bed. Listen to
I'll
me,
bring
Evan.
us back on track. We'll really
Don't
have
you
a good
dare.
story to bring us back on track. And I want to throw one more in there because as long as we're talking about like adoption by institutions, by barbers, we should also shout out the country of Pakistan. In a bold move, I'm not sure why they did this. I'd be curious to know. They revealed their minister of crypto and blockchain. He met with the executive director of Donald Trump's Council on Digital Assets this week at a meeting in the White House. And he said that they are going to launch their own strategic Bitcoin reserve and that they're going to use electricity to do it, like allocating 2,000 megawatts of surplus power toward mining and also AI data zones. They want to transform unused energy into digital productivity. And they're also developing a regulatory framework for digital assets. So, way to go, Pakistan. But
Yeah, good job, Pakistan.
but like also,
Good
doesn't it
job.
seem weird that they would be? Why would you, if you're Pakistan, and you're in a meeting with the United States? Why would you? To me, that seems like opening up your armor and showing your heart. You know what I mean? Like if I'm the U.S., I'm accumulating Bitcoin, and if I'm everybody else, I'm like, guys, maybe we shouldn't talk about how much Bitcoin we have. Like, let's buy it very quietly until we think we have enough, and then we can talk about it publicly. Because in my mind, Pakistan buying and I don't know, India establishing a reserve in Germany and this country and that country and this country and that country and Microsoft's doing it makes me go, we should accelerate this train. And if I'm everybody else, that's the last thing I want. I feel like. Am I wrong there? Am I nuts?
I don't know. You do have like the marketing PR optics of like maybe Pakistan being like, hey, we're good for crypto and we want some of that Dubai money. You know, maybe it's a little bit of that.
It could be it.
Yeah. But like, I agree with you. You don't want to put a target on your back.
That's kind of what it feels like. Or like
Especially
kicking,
when like you're already Pakistan.
yeah,
They already got a pretty big target on your back.
yeah. From the U.S. anyway, I feel like. I
Yeah,
don't
from the
know.
United States anyway.
Tori says,
And-
what I hear from Evan is that he's saying this is a psyop. No, I'm not saying it's a psyop. I'm just saying, tell me why. I don't know. So, you know, not clear.
If we're okay with a small segue, there's a question that came through and actually touches on something I wanted to cover today because I got a bunch of these comments. This happens like clockwork. So I posted a video about profit taking and not falling into the trap of believing all of the you can get rich quick scheme stuff. It's exactly what Will was just talking about with SNEC, which is if you take the win, if you get the win, take the win. And inevitably, I get a ton of the comments that call me a moron because, hey, buddy, you might want to look up this thing called taxes. And yeah, so I took some time to Google the word tax because I was completely unfamiliar. And what I've arrived at is that, unfortunately, we have to pay taxes, guys. Spoiler alert. So anyway, I didn't put the disclaimer about taxes in the video, so it is my own dumb fault. But what I wanted to do is just share a resource that I don't think anybody ever checks. And it's amazing what you can learn if you just look things up on the internet. So the question and the comment that I got more than anything was in response to me specifically stating, if you make 25% return on an investment in a short amount of time, you should consider paying yourself something for doing that. And the comment was always, you're an idiot. Don't do that. You're going to lose all of it to taxes. And I was not aware that the capital gains tax rate. Yeah.
Sorry, that could be a genuine question. I'm sorry.
No. There are genuine questions, but they don't ask it like that. The non-genuine comments are literally just calling me a moron and telling me that I'm going to lose all of it to taxes and I'll have pennies left. And I said I was unaware that the IRS had changed the capital gains tax rate to 100%, and so I was going to go look that up. So let me just toss this screen share up. And yes, I'm sassy because I don't like being called an idiot by idiots. So here's this, okay? IRS.gov. They have a search bar. Just type in capital gains. Okay, we're not going to go through all this right now. It's dry as hell. But what you can do is look for exactly where you fall into this, and you will get your capital gains rate, both for short-term or long-term, and then the different rates. And so what you really need to see, and here, Evan, I'm going to zoom in a little bit for this to see if we can get it on the old TikTok. Okay. The first sentence, and might I remind us one more time that this is the IRS website. Net capital gains tax are taxed at different rates depending on the overall taxable income, although some or all net capital gains may be taxed at a whopping 0%. For taxable years beginning in the year 2024, the tax rate on most net capital gains is no higher than 15% for most individuals. And then here are all of the brackets. Okay? So literally, if your taxable income is for single or married filing separately, $47,000 or less, your capital gains tax rate is quite literally zero. Married filing jointly, $94,000. $63,000 for head of household. It kicks up to 15% if your taxable income is more than $47,000, but less than or equal to $518,000. Okay, so the overwhelming majority of us pay 15% on your capital gains. Okay, and I don't know about you, but personally, I would way rather, and I'm not saying that I agree with this, I'm not saying that I like this, I'm not over here shilling the IRS. I'm simply trying to point out that I would personally rather pay 15% capital gains tax on a win in a speculative investment compared to writing off a loss because I held it too long and it went below what I paid for it. And for some reason, people in crypto glorify tax write-offs to the point where they almost like yearn to lose all their money because it's a tax write-off, bro. You can offset your gains. What gains, dude? You held them all to zero. You have no goddamn gains. So, like, please, for the love of God, please just look up your tax rate and then consider the alternative if you decide that you would rather hold that thing forever to avoid paying 15% in taxes. Now, none of what I have talked about so far here covers any of the tax mitigation strategies that do exist. Okay, there are ways that you can offset by doing things like wash trading positions that are in a loss because it's net for net on losses and gains. So let's say that Will makes 2 crypto investments. One of them loses him $10,000 and the other one makes him $10,000. He is net neutral on that. He does not owe any taxes on that $10,000 win because he can offset the entire thing with the $10,000 loss. However, if he simply loses $10,000 and then he has his day job, he's allowed to take $3,000 of that $10,000 loss and offset his regular income with that $3,000 tax write-off. You're allowed to do that once per year, and you can roll that loss over into the following year if you have more than $3,000 in a calendar year or in a fiscal year. Same thing, different months. The other things to keep in mind are that if you do not lose any money and you do make money, so Will makes one trade, he makes $10,000, he does owe capital gains tax on that. And then long term, if the investment that he made it on was held for longer than a year, short term if it was under a year. So I'll put this in a separate video, which will not get as many views as me telling people to take profits. But the information is there. But please, please, please consult this, and this is updated yearly. Okay, so they work on these rates. These fluctuate. There's often not huge changes, but little bits.
Give us the title one more time. Scroll to the top so people can screenshot or see what they ought to Google. This is, again, only for U.S. taxpayers.
Yes.
And it's specifically for labor tax.
Yes.
For your business, different rules might apply. And if you
Yes.
are a high net worth person or you're running a business that's got revenue, then Robert Steckler's advice probably applies. You might just spend $2,000 on a sophisticated tax attorney. If
Yep.
you're a lower net worth individual, somebody in that 0% to 15% bracket, I would be willing to bet Coinly will probably suffice for you.
Well, and to Robert's point too, there are, like I said, there are tax mitigation strategies. My tax attorney is an expert in figuring out how you can best optimize your tax plan to make sure you don't get hosed. All those loopholes and all that kind of stuff.
Tax deferral is legal and an American pastime.
Amen, brother.
It is certainly is.
Depending on your amount of income, depending on other assets, depending on what you're in, there are trust structures wherein you can defer a significant amount of, if not all of these taxes until you actually withdraw money from the trust, that kind of stuff. I'm definitely not an expert, although I do have one. I'm just not the mastermind behind who built it. But I mean, there are ways that you can look into this stuff to figure out other strategies. But even if you do none of that, nobody is paying 100%. Nobody's paying 90%. Okay? Even in the scenarios where someone is making so much money that their capital gains rate is just astronomical, it still only applies to money after that threshold. So let me find an example. I think it's probably down here somewhere. Maybe it's on a different page. It's just if you make more than just a gajillion squillion dollars, it's okay, but every dollar above a gajillion squillion is the one that's taxed at that ridiculous rate. Everything up to that pays the rate beforehand. So not all money is taxed equally, even when it's made by the same person. Mm-hmm. And in answer to the question, how do we learn so much? I am obnoxiously curious, and I spend almost all day reading about things I don't know. Just because when people ask me a question, I want to have the answer. I don't always have the answer. It bothers me when I don't know something. It deeply upsets me when I don't know something, and I will then spend the next amount of time learning the thing that I did not understand. So,
also want to highlight this comment from Robert Steckler. Even if you wash your frauds, just don't do frauds.
Yeah. And
Just
I guess
don't do crime.
a good way to cap that off, if you heard me say wash trade and you're not sure what that means,
Sorry, just reading Robert's follow-up. He said,
Yeah,
I'm what the
reading
government
Robert.
calls
I
an
was like,
egregious
oh, man.
violator. I'm audited annually. I've earned it, though. Robert, the pirate. Okay, go ahead, Alex. Tell
Robert,
me.
when there is inevitably a movie made about you someday, I would really like to be an extra. So hook me up.
I just want to be like a script consultant so I can hang out with Robert on set while everything else is happening and he can be like, you want to hear a scene that didn't even make it in the movie? I'll tell you something.
Yes.
I'll tell you some real shit.
Yeah, I want my name. Can I get my name on one of those fancy little chairs that look really uncomfortable? That's
Yeah.
just slightly too tall, so my feet
That look
dangle
really
above the
uncomfortable.
floor as I'm sitting there. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Rise Up crew and everyone in the audience is formally invited to set. You can write it in your contract, Robert, when you get the buyout deal. We'll be really polite and take our shoes off at the door. Go ahead, Al.
So the wash trade thing, this is a good method to be aware of because it is legal in crypto, and we do not know how long, although given the current administration, probably at least to the end of this, because I don't think anyone is even thinking about this, or it's on nobody's radar to get rid of this. When you get to the end of the year, right? So you get to the end of the calendar year and you're starting to, make some moves to get ready for filing your taxes the upcoming April. You will notice that at the end of December, crypto usually dumps at the end of that month. And it's because everybody's wash trading. There's lots of selling. So what happens, let's say Evan has purchased $1,000 of Bitcoin and he gets to the end of the year and now it's worth $500. And Evan doesn't want to necessarily lose the Bitcoin. He's got long-term conviction in it. He wants to keep it, but he would like to see if he can capitalize on this because he made some money on a different crypto, and he wants to offset his tax obligation to pay capital gains on that. So let's say that one's up $500. Evan could sell the Bitcoin on December 31st, and then he could rebuy it immediately. There's no waiting period. There's no cool-off period. In the stock and other financial assets world, you have to wait, 30 days before you're allowed to make a similar purchase back again? So that's the anti-wash trading rule. In crypto land, you can buy it back 8 seconds after you sold it. What you do when you do that is you lock in a capital loss, which is declarable on your taxes. But you also reset your cost basis at the new amount. So let's say that Evan made, or he bought Bitcoin at 40,000, he sold it at 20,000. Okay, so locking in a $500 loss. It fell by 50%, so he lost half of his $1,000. He immediately rebuys it. At the end of these two transactions, the sale and the purchase, Evan has the same amount of Bitcoin that he had before. The same amount of money has been invested into the Bitcoin that he did before. He still owns the asset. On paper, he's really lost nothing, but he's declared now a loss that he can write off on his taxes. However, if that Bitcoin goes back to the point where he originally purchased it, so let's say that it regains that 50% that it lost over the next year, he now is on the hook for capital gains for that because he reset his cost basis lower. So now when it goes back up to what he originally purchased it at, that's considered profit. So you have to be aware that when you do this, you are resetting cost basis lower. And so you're on the hook for more capital gains if it goes back up again. So there's a trade-off. There's an upside and a downside. Lock in the loss, but reset your cost basis lower, potentially be on the hook for more profit.
Jessica reminds us that tax loss harvesting is what she's also heard it called.
Yes.
And Trails says the downside, as you mentioned, is that it resets the counter of how long it must be to qualify for long-term capital gains. Your year starts over. And Robert Steckler says the IRS is downloading this chat.
And that's just bullshit. Don't worry, they all got fired.
At least we're on here telling people to pay their taxes,
Yeah, let the record show. We want you to pay your
taxes.
I'm doing my taxes right now, my 2024 taxes right now, and it gets harder every year. And every year I say to myself, it's not my crypto stuff that's hard because I've gotten my crypto ducks in a row. It's honestly that I do more different kinds of jobs.
Well, you got
as a
weird
solopreneur.
income, from music and from
and occasional acting,
all that,
and occasionally TikTok now, and not enough, but still too much, and it's just I am not wealthy enough to really justify paying an accountant, but it's on my list to start a simple spreadsheet for every one of my gigs. I'm just going to open a new tab, track all my, I'm good at it. I know the rules, but it's,
I will tell you
by thing, man.
I'll tell you right now that it is, I had the same thought. For so long, I struggled with it because I was I don't really make any money. I don't really make that much money, guys. Spoiler alert. I spend it all doing this. I'm losing money, but I still have an accountant because it's just so stressful to me, and I'm so bad at it, and it takes me so long, and it's so much easier to just give some of my return to some smart, and plus we've had a good relationship. I've known these guys for years and years and years. So I don't know, it's worth at least looking into, just because they're not all as prohibitive. But I mean, I think honestly that this group has been really helpful too. We've been able to definitely attract some people like Jessica who know a lot more about this than I do. And I'm more than happy to talk to my accountant. Actually, I already have, and he's interested in coming in and just leading a little informational seminar in the Discord to go over basic tax tips and prep tips and making sure that you're tracking stuff ready, because good tracking is the thing that makes it simple. Evan, I'm sure you would agree that if you get to the end of the year and you're like, oh God, I didn't write down any of my transactions. I didn't track any of this kind of stuff. I don't know where I'm at with any of this. I've got 17 wallets and all this. Like, that's the part that really screws you over. And then you have to make that decision. Like, do I want to commit tax fraud or do I want to try to figure this out?
It's a tough decision.
So that boating accident's looking mighty tempting.
Yeah.
So,
And in answer,
Oh no, it's on fire. The cat was on the stove and it turned the burner on the boat.
this guy in a dolphin suit just came out of
Came
nowhere.
out of nowhere.
Nowhere, man.
Listen, I got mugged by a guy in a giant blue banana costume, and he took all my crypto.
To the people,
Meanwhile, I'm dressed as a dolphin. Your Honor, I'm clearly a dolphin.
Clearly a
You can throw
dolphin.
this case out.
Case
So-
dismissed.
dolphins in a second. To the people who are asking, what's the best taxes program for crypto? I'm pretty sure that the one we recommend most is Coinly. Fact check yourself, brother. But we've used it for the last couple of years, mostly coincidentally that all three of us happen to use it. We found out after the fact. And we've even got a link at the riseupmorningshow.com if you head over to the recommended tools and deals tab that you can support the show at no extra cost to yourself, and I believe you get a little discount on Coinly's tax software when you book it using our link. And if you just need a little guidance on it, we've also got a crypto tax class. It's a recording. You can watch it at your leisure. It's got like Q&A. Jessica, who's in the chat and in our community, walks through a couple of rules, and she keeps me honest as I drive through step by step how you do your crypto taxes with Coinly. It's like TurboTax, but make it crypto. And of course, you don't have to use Coinly. We're not sponsored by Coinly.
We
though
should be.
You can also use Coin Ledger. You can try Coin Tracker. There are several crypto tax softwares, and all of them are largely the same. And it'd be a great question for the Rise Up Morning Show Discord community. If you want to get in there with your taxes and go back and forth with folks, we could open a thread about it. Now, Will, I know you got to go in just a couple of minutes, so I wanted to give you a chance to give a final thought. But first, we absolutely need to hear you say one more time, first of all, where people can find you, since this is like a shell of its former self, this account. And we need you to explain to the people who want to know, why no blue banana? Tell us one more time.
Yeah, so my account, as you see, it is not Coin Guide anymore. It's user 393, blah, 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 blah. My account got banned. I filed an appeal. It got unbanned, but apparently it's still partially banned and something's broken. So I am getting in, I'm in touch with TikTok support. I'm waiting to hear back from them. They've told me they've received it. They're going to review it, hopefully get this account set up. So I went and created a backup account, which is Dolphin_coin_guide. The Dolphin is an inside joke that we established like 3 or 4 months ago. A lot of and so I was like, well, you know what? This will be a good sign so that people don't just see my face, because I have a million scammers out there. So if you start seeing videos of me dressed up as a dolphin, you're gonna be like, oh wait, what? This isn't a scammer account. I've never seen it. What's happening here? And maybe get an opportunity for you to hear the story. So Dolphin_coin_guide. I'm there. I'll hopefully be able to start going live on that next week at the first show, because I just got the opportunity to apply for live studio yesterday on it. So hopefully I hear back. And appreciate a follow and all that. That would be great. And there's no dolphin costume today because I am in Maine and I have to go to one of my cousin's weddings tomorrow. And I tried to fit it into my suitcase, but it didn't exactly fit along with my suit and other things. So unfortunately, the dolphin costume had to go. Come for him. Yeah.
Sorry, man. Sorry about it.
Oh, I did. There was something else I wanted to talk about too.
Please.
As a lobster costume would also be great. OpenSea should sponsor us, and just have a bunch of maritime costumes. But California's assembly, so they have their assembly, their Senate, and then the governor. That's how they approve bills. The assembly unanimously approved 2 Bitcoin-related bills and stablecoin related bills that's moving now to the Senate. You can go to Dennis Porter's Twitter to watch the reporting on that. But the overall gist of that is they would push forward crypto adoption by allowing payments to agencies and protect self-custody user rights, which are both good things. And they also provide standards for licensing, disclosures, fee structures, audit controls, and user security. So all those things are good. It's not a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but those are all positive things. And also California is the 4th largest economy in the world. Like the state of California is the 4th largest economy in the world. So, having that, you have a lot of positive momentum for Bitcoin is a really good thing. So we'll keep our eyes on that. And hopefully we can get a strategic Bitcoin reserve soon too.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Will, for spending your time with us, for making the complex clear, and we hope that you travel safe and have a good time at the wedding, brother.
Nice. See you guys.
Bye for now. And if you've got a crypto question, a suggestion, a good joke, word of wisdom, or a recommendation for a maritime costume, I think it was Schmack who said, remember, dolphins are under maritime law, then leave it in the comments. If you're listening to my voice on the recording, leave us a comment there too. We definitely could use your help in getting our reputation on Apple and Spotify up. People who hear us there say, what the heck am I listening to? So we need your help to let them know through reviews and comments that this is a good source of crypto information. That was a pregnant sigh.
No, listen, I'm aware that we're streaming this on Twitter right now, and I have to like give Kaido a shout out for turning some of this attention on. The number of large creators on Twitter that are all of a sudden pretending that they've wanted to do TikTok forever, and that like it's being slept on, and I'm over here just like literally bashing my head against the wall. It's so many people. These are like people who I've literally spoken to about this and personally reached out to, or like personally been on Twitter Spaces with and talked to and like offered to help for free, or like, guys, I just had a brilliant idea. I'm considering trying TikTok. And it's like, I will hit you with a bus. I don't know. It's just like, it's petty, but it drives me insane. It just, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm getting what I want. I want more creators over here on TikTok helping make better content.
I will say on behalf of everyone at the show, don't let Alex put you off. If you are somebody,
I'm just grumpy.
We get it. I feel that too. But to be fair, I know you would say to anybody watching, especially if you're watching on Twitter and you're thinking about creating a TikTok account, or if you've got one already, maybe you're not posting, or maybe you are and you're not getting traction, or maybe you just want more friends in the app, then like reach out to us. We're very friendly. We're probably not experts, but we do have a significant amount of expertise, hard-won through several years creating content and building trust here. So we can help you.
And I mean,
don't let your 10,000 followers on Twitter make you too proud to ask us for help.
And I don't let your 100,000 followers intimidate you from starting something new, because it's that worthwhile. I want this to happen so bad. I care about this so much that I'll literally help you for free. That's the stupidest fucking thing that I could spend my time doing, but I want it that bad. I care about it that much. Like, if you actually give a shit, like, let me know and I will help you do it for free.
Yeah, 100%. Mike says, I'm trying to find my place in TikTok and doing content. Fear, thank you, says, you're truly top tier. And Joe says, TikTok Live is more easily interactive. I agree.
I want to say, just to Fear specifically, you guys are killing it.
Fear is killing it.
You and Anton.
Love what you guys are doing.
It's feel free, Fear. Plug the name, the Fearless Investors Group.
Yeah, Fearless Investors. That's right. If you don't watch them, they go live usually just kind of like at the end of our time. So they like pick up the torch and keep running into the morning and answer crypto questions. They share charts. They talk about the news, and they've got a number of resources just like us. I'm pretty sure they've got a couple of ebooks. They've got a free Discord, and are just friendly, helpful people. Like no egos, casual, but like super helpful.
No, but like I am overly critical of crypto content, because when you post bad content, you end up getting people hurt. You lose people money, because people want to learn. We want to learn about this so bad. There's so much to learn. You want to learn about it so bad. But you guys are killing it. I'm a really big fan. I've caught the show.
Big fan of this.
Sometimes I try to pop in and say hi, but you two are doing a great job. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and we try.
Antoine is killing it too. I mean, tons of like posting a ton of videos.
Yeah,
really good, like little bite-sized nuggets. It's just like he's got a beautiful way of just, like, hey, here's this thing that gets tossed around a lot that no one's ever really explained. Like, here it is in words that you may not have heard used to describe it before.
Yeah, he makes me feel like I'm his little brother.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. He's like, hey man, you gotta watch out for these crypto influencers. And I'm always like, yeah, you do. Okay, bro, I'm listening.
Yeah.
It's good.
Big fan. Yeah.
And also shout out to Papa Aztec in the comments, who says, I love gaming, might start game streaming. We were talking to Greg Nazaro He's a co-founder of Aptos.
No. Listen, Greg literally wrote Aptos.
He literally wrote Aptos, okay?
He built that blockchain. He is the #1 code contributor to the Aptos code base. Okay.
Yeah.
He wrote most of it. One time, just to screw with him, I introduced him to a friend at a conference as like a guy who's written 1 or 2 lines for Aptos, and you could see his blood pressure go up, that vein in his forehead twitched, and he's like, yeah, 1 or 2 lines.
To be fair, when you've got a co-founding team as big as Aptos, it probably is the kind of thing you probably get swept under the rug a lot. And he has a lot to be proud of, but is probably not the kind of guy who's just going to fill everyone's ears with how awesome he is. Shout out to Greg. And to set the table for this even more, this is when we were at Consensus. Aptos was one of the leading sponsors of the hackathon, among other things. And it was really cool. Alex and I were kind of musing on, we saw David Walensky, our friend from the show, and Greg walking around just like helping people at the hackathon, because you're hacking on their protocol. So you might have a question. So you come up to David or Greg and say like, hey, I'm trying to do, and they'll help you. And just how cool it would be for like a couple of co-founders who've been working on this thing. It's their life's work, and there's a room full, like hundreds of people building on top of what they've created. It just would be so cool. But Greg was like, yeah, I'm thinking about breaking into streaming. I'd kind of like to just stream video games and talk about blockchain development.
Yeah,
and
gaming
Alex,
with Greg.
Dude,
Like
brilliant, right?
Yeah. And
I
we
would
have,
watch that.
I mean, we have a ton, JC's here. I've seen the live streams as well. Like, if you guys are creating content or you want to, let us know. That's actually one of the pieces we want to put into the cohort, like a pipeline to help newer or budding or people who want to become content creators just get started. Also, just because I just saw this question come in about what's my Instagram. I have several, but I don't use them. If anyone's telling you anything about Instagram or from me on Instagram, it's bullshit. I can't even remember the last time that I did anything but look at the memes that my wife DMs me on that platform.
Yeah, right. Exactly the same. I post about my music there, and that's about it. Although I've been starting. I want to be more intentional about. We all do. Facebook, LinkedIn, the platforms where people are traditionally not reached. It's crypto, Twitter, and everything else at this point. We're making inroads on TikTok, and if you want our help, Alex and I are going to go on a live show this weekend, and we try to do that every chance we get. I routinely will come on, and somebody will be live, and it's a real pleasure to get to jump in, support the show. We have a pretty significant following on TikTok, so it helps amplify your reach. If we can do anything to support you, come into the Discord, send us a message. We're easy to get a hold of. Don't DM us here on TikTok, okay? Please don't DM us here on TikTok because we won't see it. But keep connecting with each other in the chats because we've got, Excova, we've got Fear, we've got JC. We've got so many great, helpful people here already. Look around, find a good friend, and do the Rise Up thing together. That's what Rising Up is all about. We have a question here on YouTube that I need more clarification on. Best Ericans Online TV asked a question a few days ago. Can you be more specific? They want to know about investing and earning via Aave. But in the meantime, while they clarify, Alex, you have a good starter video for this, right? Can you just tag it real quick?
Yeah, what playlist is it in?
I need Alex GPT for this. This is why we need our GPTs, because it would
Yeah. I'll put the link in Discord. I don't remember which playlist it's in. I do have a basics supplying USDC on Aave tutorial, and I would actually like to do another one that covers a couple more options because there are some better yields out there if you're kind of willing to hop around, because Aave is huge. It's the biggest one by far, twice as much TVL as the second biggest platform. At least. They're 40-something billion dollars of TVL. And then I think Lido is next at 22 or 23. Somebody fact check me. But between that and right now mine is not on Aave. It's on a Morpho Vault run by Spark, which is a decentralized crypto savings account. They are offering a little bit higher USDC yield on just supplying. But of course, actually, the other thing that I'm looking at moving some over to capitalize on, and I'm excited to get from Justin next week about Katana, is that there are launch incentives on Katana for USDC yield right now, and some of them are bananas. Turtle Vault is helping supply the launch incentive capital to pay some pretty significant yields back, and I'm talking the combined yield between CAT and USDC yield on like the Katana line, it's like 40% right now. And that's not going to last forever, obviously, you know. And shout out to Matthew in the Discord, because he has a great write-up in the premium forum that's all about where that yield comes from, because the single most important question you can ask yourself when looking at farming yield and earning interest is, where does it come from? And if you can't figure out where it comes from, it's coming from you. If you cannot identify the source of the yield, you're the yield, and run. But this one is very public. They are personally funding the high yield in the beginning to attract attention in the beginning. It will drop off. But excited to get into that one a little deeper with Justin next week. So
we had a question about a new AI that writes itself called Caffeine AI, that it will open the world to development leveraging ICP's infrastructure, but it looks like it's an apply for early alpha access and be among the first to experience product that as of yet can't be used. So keep us posted. I'm curious to know what self-writing internet means. It honestly sounds like the dead internet, which is something that terrifies me. I don't know if you've noticed this, Alex, or anybody in the comments. Like, let me know if you've experienced this phenomenon. Now, when I am writing, I slopify my writing on purpose. I have always been kind of a, composer with language. I was a big user of the M dash before it got GPT co-opted. And I have found that now that everybody writes more like me because they're using GPT to like enhance their vocabulary or flesh out messages, that I am adding in typos, that I'm really leaning into the things. I always have done this. I always like to use turns of phrase that people, that are just novel. But it becomes increasingly important to me to be like, whoa. Because when I read a message like on Twitter or anywhere in text, I'm like, was this composed with GPT? And it turns me off involuntarily. And so I just want to like do little things, not too much effort. I don't want to kill myself, but I want people to know like, hey, I created this for you. And I use GPT still all the time, like to draft my stuff or whatever, but it's becoming increasingly important to me as a reader and also as a communicator, like that it's mine. You feel that? And that it's like a little, not sloppy, but just, authentic.
Yeah. I've become, obviously increasingly aware that because of the death of eloquence, it's really hard to just like write. This is going to, I'm so sorry. I hear it before I say it. This sounds so conceited, but like I've spent a tremendous amount of time like working on my writing and like honing my writing and like learning to increase my vocabulary, because there's always like the perfect word for something. And at this point now, it's just like, you just get accused of, like exactly as you're saying, it just all gets accused of being ChatGPT. I kind of make it a point to not do that, because like you can audit my writing going back way before ChatGPT existed. It hasn't changed. So I kind of refuse, to be very honest with you. I do try to inject like a lot of my own like little personal mannerisms and stuff, but I just refuse. I don't know. I don't really use it to write though. I use it to give me an outline and then I fill in the blanks. It helps me.
I use it to write. It to write, and then I work on refining it so that it outputs the way that I speak.
Yes.
But I don't know. I go back and I'll replace the M dashes that look like this with the like dash that's not connected, because that's how it appears when I type it. Like that seems like a petty thing, but I want people to know like, there's no space before my M dash, baby.
Yeah, no, I do that too. Because there are some things that it does automatically that I just hate, but you can prompt it and tell it to not do it that way. And
mine doesn't take. Mine
even with Claude,
the memory's full. I haven't done as much with Claude. It's been less consistent.
I'm telling
you. GPT is even more inconsistent, I would say.
I'm telling you, dude, like for writing stuff, the only thing that I've ever come close to not having to really change that much after significant inputting and prompting is my Claude thread. GPT never figured it out for me. It could never write like me. Claude has been getting really close. I still fix things every time, but then like every time, it will write me something and I'll send it back to Claude and I'm like, hey, here's what I changed. Tell me what differences you note and then tell me why you think I changed it like that. And then it will like force edit its own initial writing and write me a summary about like what I changed and why it's better or why it's worse or catch mistakes or something like that and go back. It's a back and forth. But in general, just because I'm very scatterbrained, I use the AI to structure my article or my post or whatever thread, and then I will fill in the blanks just because I am hyper aware that like I don't want it to come across as AI, but also I don't really care that much because I know I write. You know what I mean?
Lord says, please do peep DMs.
On which platform? X?
Twitter.
Twitter.
We'll peep.
Got
we'll
it.
peep them.
Will do. Thank you. Yes.
Pop our peepers on them. It's about that time. We do some
about that
final
time.
thoughts. We have a couple more minutes. So if you've got one more crypto question, if you've got one more thing to share, leave it below in the comments. And then let us know what you're up to this weekend. We'd be glad to hear about it. And come back to check us out Monday. We're here, same time, same place, wherever you watch, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. And this seems like a good time to remind you that, hey, these are our only accounts, wherever you're watching us. And you can find all the links to all our official accounts at theriseupmorningshow.com. But anybody who reaches out to you directly that looks like us, who wants to see how your investing is going, who wants to invest for you, who tries to invite you to Telegram, something like that, those people are scammers. Don't trust them. Just block them. Ignore them. They can't hurt you if you don't talk to them. And unfortunately, if you do talk to them, they'll try and leverage the trust that we've built to take your money. It's not that we don't want to talk to you. It's that we want to talk to you in places where you know it's us. So check out the official socials. Check out the Rise Up Discord server. The only thing missing there is you. And if you want to accelerate your learning journey, then consider joining the Rise Up Premium membership. It'll get you access to all of the exclusive back channels, the most engaged members of our community, discounts on courses, coaching, and all kinds of other good stuff. We've got office hours every week, and we'd really like to help you as we work to improve that program and help more people, we say, rise up. Alex, what are you up to this weekend, man?
I have so much to do.
Me too.
So I am working on an experiment right now. I'm participating in a challenge issued by Stephen Bartlett, who's the host of the Diary of a CEO podcast and one of my just personal idols. I don't know. He doesn't know he's mentoring me, but he is. It's a very parasocial relationship. And so he just invested in a company called Stan Store, which I was unfamiliar with. And so I'm working on getting that set up and kind of moving, the PDFs, the guides, my coaching, all that kind of stuff, like over to that and kind of seeing how it goes. I added the first few products yesterday and I really like the interface. It's very simple. And they're doing like this thing, where they want everyone to set up a store and then someone's going to win like one-on-one coaching with the CEO of Stan Store and with Steven. And so I'm working on that. Evan, you and I have a lot of work to do.
We do.
We need to get Circle moving. I've got about 17 videos that I've got like backlogged and requests and comments and stuff that I need to film and post. I'm going to try to do a lot today. I have a bunch of follow-ups to do. We've got some other sponsorships that we're working on negotiating and pitching and talking to. I've got a proposal to write to send me to Permissionless in New York City this year, which will be June 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Sounds like it's going to be such a killer conference.
It's going to be epic. I hope that it happens. If you're going to be in New York City at the end of the month, let me know. I don't know. That's just like the first half, I guess. But
we got a busy weekend, don't
There's
we?
a
I got to
lot.
finish my taxes. I got to find some time to mow the lawn. I don't know when I'm going to do that. My future mother-in-law, her computer crashed the other day. So I helped her save money on a new computer, and I'm going to go to her house. Yesterday I was on the phone with Alex from her driveway because I was waiting for the FedEx guy because it required a signature. Then I've got another computer that I said I'd fix for my future sister-in-law. I'm like everybody's tech support guy this weekend. And I've got therapy. I've got band practice. I've got a sprint with Alex. I got to make some...
we've probably
I don't
got
know.
2 sprints.
We've got 2. That's right. We've got 2 sprints. We've got a stream this weekend. We're working really hard to bring the Circle community to life, to create this grants incubator that we're excited about so we can help folks like Jay Heat get funding for their ideas.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got
We got a lot of cool stuff.
I've got some pretty good interest in the Grants Accelerator incubator program from 4 very large blockchain ecosystems that are interested in participating. I don't think it's outing anything to say that these people are interested. No. Aptos, Polygon, Stellar, and Avalanche.
Oh yeah.
And
that's it for now.
I feel like there's one more. I have to look in my Telegram.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be so cool? That would be so cool.
Hell yeah. Dude, nothing there's nothing like that. I maintain that it would be obscenely valuable for everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be obscenely valuable for them, and it would be a great way to accelerate the work we're doing here. You know, that's the whole goal. Everybody comes to the show because the algorithms push it. It's easy to discover. It's easy to share. But then we want to give you whatever you need next in terms of your best friend, your mentor, advice from a founder, connections to a venture capitalist or an advisor, a grants program, or just some good old-fashioned education in a classroom where you're not going to have to worry about getting scammed and schemed. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being the very best part of what we do. And thank you for your patience with us while we work on this. We're trying to get this Circle community up. We're doing so much stuff all the time, and we really appreciate your help. All the mods in our community, all the friends in our community, folks like Tori, shout out, who have given us time and shared their expertise. You guys really rock. Alex, what's your final thought? Your final ask, your final word of wisdom. You got any good jokes? I've got the 8 ball here while you think about it. The 8 ball says, DCA always.
Amen. I would say, so I was just letting it sink in. If I don't know, let's see, final thought. Honestly, I just want to thank everybody for being here, because none of this would be a thing that we're working on if you guys didn't find any of what we're talking about helpful and valuable. The only reason the show exists is because you guys hang out with us. Although, Evan, I still think about to this day, there is an episode that Evan and I did in the very beginning that nobody came to. It was just me and Evan in the stream, in the Twitter space by ourselves for the entire hour and a half, and we did that whole goddamn show. Not a single person showed up. This was like episode 2 or 3, like, very beginning. So we're on 500 something now, overall.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way, but it's this. None of this is lost on me. It's very, very cool. Shout out to Tori and Neil, because on the days when only one person showed up, it was either Tori or Neil in the beginning. But honestly, and then I just thanks to Polygon for taking this kind of leap of faith and being the first one to be like, hey, we dropped the ball. Let's work on this kind of stuff, and we want to do it on TikTok because, they recognize the crypto Twitter problem. So that's really cool. And then honestly, to all of you guys for watching, as Solano says, this fake radio show, because it makes the sponsorship kind of thing just easier to navigate. It's such a touchy thing to take a sponsorship in crypto, but I think that doing it live lets you give proper context and explanations and make sure everyone understands how it works. There's no commercial videos and all that kind of crap. So, I mean, the feedback is really helpful. It helps us make a case to people like Polygon that this is worth doing. Because ideally, I mean, these big companies are the ones that should be paying for us to continue to do this. I don't want you guys to pay for it. You guys, you're doing enough work by giving us all of your time to show up and watch it. And these big companies, they got the money. So let them pay us to do the work. And the reason that they do it is because you guys comment so much, watch so much, and just support us as much as you do. So it's not lost on me. It really means more than I can say. Chokes me up a little bit.
It's tremendously appreciated, and it's effective. This is why we call it Rise Up, because we would be doing a fake radio show anyway, because it's a lot of fun. It's what we're good at. It's what we enjoy.
We would do it into bankruptcy and broadcast it from our cardboard box on the sidewalk if we had to.
But because we're all here together, now other people will do shows. More people will learn on many different platforms, online and offline, people of all ages from all around the world. And that's what Rising Up looks like. So thank you for making this dream possible and sharing it.
I love this comment from Hublai. All radio shows are fake. Amen, brother.
This is a gross misrepresentation of the facts.
Yeah, so take that, Joe Rogan, Howard Stern. Think you're better than me? Okay, we gotta go. Everybody, thank you for being the best part of what we do. I'll say it one last time, and we will catch you Monday. Have a great weekend. Everybody, stay safe, be well. Until next time, my friends, everybody,